Hey guys, how's it going? It's Infernoman again. Back in June of 2019, around the time I started my YouTube channel, I made a video showcasing my original top 10 favorite Pokemon. This was way before I grew a massive love for certain Pokemon on my Nuzlocke teams, and before even Sword and Shield was released. Not to mention I didn't have the best setup for videos at the time, and my thumbnail was as lazy as it could be. What else could I do but make an updated version for you guys? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'll be giving you the list of my favorite Pokemon out of all 898 current Pokemon, and telling you why I hold those special bonds with them. Before I get started, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. I'm trying to reach 400 subscribers before the new year begins, so your support would be massively appreciated. With all of that out of the way, allow me to show you my top 10 favorite Pokemon of all time. Kicking it off with a new face to the list, Galar's Fire-type starter Pokemon shoots a goal into the number 10 spot. When Sword and Shield were announced with the starters, many people were skeptical. Scorbunny looked like a bunny version of a fusion between Chespin and Chimchar. Sobble looked like a Fakemon, and Grookey looked like the only real starter. It definitely took some getting used to decide which starter everyone would be bringing along with them in the new games, and after some peer pressure, I decided I would be choosing Sobble. Although talking about Cinderace might seem misleading, I actually chose Sobble in my Sword playthrough. I had a lot of fun journeying through Galar with what would become Inteleon and my other Pokemon. However, when I began my Shield Nuzlocke here on the channel, that's when I chose Scorbunny. I wanted to choose a starter that I hadn't chosen previously, and since I thought Scorbunny deserved a chance, I decided he would become the star of my channel's newest Nuzlocke challenge. After a journey to remember through Galar, Tricks the Cinderace held on after almost losing multiple times, including to Rayhan's Duraludon. I've just come to appreciate the design and overall existence of this Fire-type starter. I did have some sentimental attachment to his Water-type counterpart for a very long time, but ultimately I realized that Cinderace is truly the starter I loved more. Inteleon has the best Gigantamax out of the three, however. The next Pokemon swims into the number 9 spot, and that Pokemon happens to be Vaporeon. It should be no surprise to my longtime viewers that Vaporeon would make this list. Truth be told, it was supposed to be on the original list, but for some reason my dumb brain forgot to add it to the list. I made sure to make room for it this time, and I need to let you know why. Vaporeon was one of those Pokemon I loved before even considering starting this channel. Since I had picked Bulbasaur as my starter, and because I already had a Fire-type Pokemon on my team, there was no other option to me than choosing the Water-type evolution. I fell in love with this Pokemon. Its sprites always look good no matter which generation, and it just does so much for the Kanto team in any game. I truly think there is no better evolution to Eevee than this one, and there have been so many ways my opinion has been justified. It was the first shiny evolution I got in Pokemon Go. I've used it in numerous playthroughs other than the Leaf Green one, and it just makes me so happy to see. The next spot is the first Pokemon on this list to make a return from the previous list, and that Pokemon happens to be Scrafty. The only attachment I had to this Pokemon when I first found out about it was through Hoodlum Callum, formerly known as Hoodlum Scrafty. I said before that for the first few years of my Pokemon involvement, the only knowledge I gained for the franchise and any of its Pokemon was through the black and white seasons of the anime. I haven't rewatched any of the episodes since, but if there was a Scrafty in the show, I must have completely missed it. If you recall, Ash was given a Pokemon egg in his adventure through Unova, and it happened to hatch into a Scraggy, who was personally one of my favorite Pokemon on his team in the region. Long story short, I was super confused when I saw Scrafty for the first time, and I had just started watching Pokemon content on YouTube, so a lot of previously unknown Pokemon information was being shot at me all at once. When I played my first run through of White, I decided to pick up Scraggy for my team, as I was initially trying to copy Ash's Unova team, minus Snivy and Oshawott considering I had no one to trade with. Although I did end up catching a Scraggy, my game froze unfortunately, and I had to reload the game. Misfortune turned into pure fortune when I reloaded the game to return to Route 4 to catch another Scraggy, and to my surprise it was my very first shiny Pokemon. I made it through the rest of the game kicking butt with my new fighting type comrade, pushing through foes like Scrafty had no weaknesses. I traded it all the way up to my first shiny PC box in Sword, where it currently rests, waiting for the next adventure. The next spot goes to another returning team member, and that happens to be the one and only Vikavolt. It's no lie that Alola has some of the best newer Pokemon, and Vikavolt really knocks it out of the park. Even if you don't agree with me that it has the best 3-stage bug-type evolutionary line, you most likely will agree that it's up there. Let's be honest here, Joltik and Galvantula aren't the greatest reps for the Bug-Electric combo. And although they aren't terrible Pokemon, they're pretty lackluster for the potential this type combination could have. When Game Freak's design team were coming up with the Pokemon to make for the Hawaii-based region, they truly came up with an amazing regional bug type. Regional bugs are usually the bugs you encounter at the beginning of each game, which ranges from Weedle and Caterpie from Kanto, Spinarak and Ladybug from Johto, Wurmple and Surskit from Hoenn, Burmy from Sinnoh, Sewaddle from Unova, Scatterbug from Kalos, Grubbin from Alola, and last but not least Blipbug from Galar. Vikavolt truly is rewarding for the journey you've been on in Alola. You can gain a massive attachment to Charjabug throughout the whole game, and then bam, Vast Pony Canyon evolves it into its final form. My first Pokemon Sun playthrough has me using this bug type, and I honestly love it to death. It has such a slick design for a bug type Pokemon, and I am super proud to say that I have a strong bond with it. While we're on the topic of electric types, the next spot goes to Alolan Raichu. Alolan Raichu? Why not regular Raichu, you may ask? Well, to be honest, I never really grew a bond with Raichu. Like I said, I initially only knew Pokemon from the Black and White anime, and on top of that, Indigo League and the Orange Islands. And because of this, the only Raichu I had seen is Lieutenant Surge's that you were brainwashed into hating due to the fact that it nearly freaking murdered Ash's Pikachu. After a while, I realized Raichu wasn't that bad, however it never really stuck to me as that great of a Pokemon. I still strongly prefer Pikachu, and it just seemed pretty bland for an evolution to Pikachu. All of that changed when Alolan forms came into play. I remember watching the trailer that announced the addition of the Electric Mouse Pokemon's regional variant form, and I'd already become accustomed to it. I decided to use it in my very first Alola playthrough, which was Moon, and it also became the reason why I didn't use Vikavolt until Sun. I thought Alolan Raichu's design was finally the perfect one to match the way Pikachu's had been for so long, and I couldn't love the fact that it was a Psychic-type Pokemon that surfs on its tail any more than I do now. I just grew a tight bond with this Pokemon, and I'm not afraid to say that I love it as much as I do. As a kid, I always wondered why Pikachu was the mascot of Pokemon, just because it was Ash's starter. But now that I'm more involved in Pokemon than anything else, I'm not confused at all. Let's Go Pikachu helped me grow a stronger attachment to the Pikachu line as a whole, and Alolan Raichu is just the cherry on top of the pancake stack. The number 5 spot goes to another familiar face, which happens to be Feraligatr. There are too many stories to tell about this Pokemon. Pokemon Gold is probably the game I've replayed the most, and almost every single time I've chosen Totodile. I've always had a little bit of an attachment to reptiles, and I remember seeing both Chikorita and Cyndaquil for the first time and thinking, I know what Totodile is, but what in the frick are these supposed to be? I had no idea what an Echidna was, mainly due to the fact that we never learned about them in school, and because I was tricked into thinking Knuckles was a hedgehog for so long. Although I've gained more of an attachment to the Cyndaquil line, I've simply just used Feraligatr more times than I can count. It's really special that I can say that I've used this Pokemon in our Nuzlocke on the channel too. If you didn't watch my Platinum Randomizer Nuzlocke that ran from February 2020 all the way to June, then let me catch you up to speed. My first ever encounter in the game was on Route 201, which happened to be a Croconaw. I was super excited to use it since Feraligatr had always been one of my favorite Pokemon. I spent the majority of the early game with 3 Pokemon: Electivire, my starter, Croconaw, who would eventually become Feraligatr, and a Swalot. Other Pokemon were added to the team, but unfortunately due to the fact that they kept getting sacked to win battles, they came and went. I was super happy Croconaw was never one of those Pokemon, until we faced Saturn for the final time. Unfortunately, this admin of Galactic wanted to bring the pain for our last face-off, and to do so, the randomizer gifted him with a Celebi and 2 Arceuses. Feraligatr was chosen to face Celebi due to the fact I was confident in its defense stats and the fact that it knew Ice Fang. Unfortunately, Celebi was lucky enough to pull off a critical hit Magical Leaf, sending my beloved Feraligatr to its grave. Even though Feraligatr didn't make it to the end, it definitely carved a path large enough to bring in more attachment to it. I truly think Feraligatr is an awesome Pokemon, and honestly the greatest water-type starter Pokemon. Becoming another friendly face to the list is Sirfetch'd. I always believed that Farfetch'd was a great Kanto Pokemon. The uniqueness of its name, its episode of Indigo League, and its usage of a leak as a weapon were all factors that made up the justification for why I always loved this Pokemon. I was saddened by the fact it didn't have an evolution, and it always puzzled me why it didn't have one. But when the original Gold and Silver demo was leaked, that's when the world found out Farfetch'd was supposed to receive one. This angered me because it had been dropped for no reason. Sirfetch'd could have been a great fighting flying type, I thought. Hawlucha wouldn't have given it a run for its money, but it still would have been fun to have. Thankfully, not that long after the demo was leaked, James Turner and the rest of the Game Freak design team decided it was time to give Farfetch'd justice. They heard fans complain after discovering the cancelled evolution to the classic duck Pokemon, and that was when they decided to put their own spin on it. Galar gave new evolutions to previously existing Pokemon a new rule. Unlike Diamond and Pearl, if a previously existing Pokemon was to be given a new evolution, it had to be a Galarian form. Of course, the only results we got from this were Obstagoon, Berserker, and of course Sirfetch'd. It does puzzle me and so many others why they couldn't have just added the fighting type to Farfetch'd rather than replacing the flying type altogether. They both can still learn flying type moves, and even though they are no longer stab, it still makes it feel like a flying type Pokemon. I hyped up this Pokemon from the start, and I definitely don't dislike it. It did take Game Freak a while to realize they should have kept Farfetch'd in, but it's better late than never. The next spot shouldn't surprise anyone for making it on the list. If you're new, you could take one look at my channel and say, yep, that's gotta be one of his favorite Pokemon. That Pokemon, of course, is the heal Pokemon Incineroar. I was never truly fond of Incineroar. Decidueye was my go-to starter from Alola, considering I used it in 4 out of 7 of my total completed unrandomized playthroughs of each of the 4 games. And it took me a while to get used to it. To make a long story short, I gained more attachment to it because of the Sun playthrough I mentioned earlier at first, but even more so when I chose it to be my channel mascot. When deciding a mascot to represent my channel, I knew I needed a Pokemon that not everyone uses. It killed me not to choose Sceptile, but since literally 3 or more channels use Sceptile as their mascot, I needed to blow to a different direction. When I finally decided on the name Infernoman, I thought it would be ridiculous to choose a mascot that wasn't a fire type Pokemon. I went through a lot of thinking, even considering Pokemon like Emboar, Salazzle, Charizard, and even Turtonator. Finally, I rested on Incineroar. It had been added to Smash Bros as the Gen 7 rep recently, and I did enjoy using it in that at least. I also had my profile picture as Litten for a while and thought, why not? I truly have grown a massive bond with it over my time on YouTube, and it even moved up on the list compared to my original one. I'm happy to display myself with Incineroar's toothy grin, and I hope to get one on my Ultra Moon Randomizer Nuzlocke team soon. Returning to its rightful place in the number 2 spot is Vanilluxe. Now I know what you're thinking. He likes the ice cream Pokemon! Destroy him! I ask you to please put your torches and pitchforks down for a second while I explain. Imagine this. You're playing through Pokemon Sun for the first time, and you want an ice type. Unfortunately, due to the fact that a lot of ice types don't come into play until later in the game, you decide to Wonder Trade Pokemon until you get one. When you finally do, it happens to be a Vanillite. You think, okay, well I've got this Pokemon that everyone seems to hate for no apparent reason, I guess it's unique enough to keep it. So you do. You make sure it gets enough spotlight since you worked so hard to get it. It becomes an MVP of the team and even gets you through a couple of trials. When you reach the point when it finally becomes Vanilluxe, you realize that you may like it more than you thought. People hate on Vanilluxe just because it's an ice cream cone. They claim it's pointless, a lazy design, and a terrible Pokemon, even though a Pokeball with eyes that turns upside down and grows a mouth when it evolves exists, but no one talks about that dumbass because he's a classic Pokemon. Bitch. Honestly, Gen 1ers are hypocritical when it comes to their reasons for disliking this Pokemon, and it deserves way more than the bad rap people give it. I have defended this Pokemon for so long because it is super useful for a pure ice type. It also happened to learn Flash Cannon, which basically made Alolan Sandslash look like a chump. I absolutely admire this Pokemon, and after using Vanillish in 2 of my Nuzlocke series, I can safely say this Pokemon is definitely a great one. The final Pokemon on my list just has to be inevitable for returning viewers. Since day 1, I've mentioned how much I love this Pokemon. From people questioning how it's my favorite Pokemon, to people telling me it's overrated, I just ignore them and stand my darn ground. That Pokemon just so happens to be the lovely Sceptile. I have always loved Sceptile as a Pokemon. Since back in the day when I made it my wallpaper on my family's computer after using it in Roblox's Project Pokemon a bajillion times, I have truly admired this Pokemon. Remember earlier when I said I love reptiles? Considering the entire Trico line is based on lizards, it should be almost inevitable that I would love this Pokemon. And I do. It didn't become my favorite until I realized that Charizard isn't that special. And this is the first time I'm publicly saying that it's no longer a top 10 Pokemon for me. Literally a month ago I said it was my favorite Pokemon from Kanto, and now Vaporeon has beaten him. So bite it, Charizard. I still love Charizard, but Sceptile has just become the superior lizard Pokemon in my opinion. It was difficult for me not to choose it when I started my first series on YouTube, but I wanted to choose a more creative starter. Not only does it have my favorite shiny, but I have just loved using this Pokemon for so long. I was super excited when I found out that Hoenn starters would be coming to the Crown Tundra back when the files were leaked, and I got a shiny Trico during Adri's Surprise Egg Saturday. Hoenn is probably the only region besides Sinnoh where I can say all 3 starters have easily lovable final evolutions, and Sceptile just happens to be my favorite one. Well guys, there you have it. Those are the 10 Pokemon I see as the best of the best. I know that not everyone will agree with me, but hey, everyone has their own opinions. If everyone thought the same, The world would be boring, and if everyone was like me, the world would be doomed. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope you found my list interesting. Let me know down below what some of your favorite Pokemon are. I'd be happy to know what Pokemon you guys like, especially if they're unique. That's going to do it for this video, so make sure you like, subscribe if you're new, and ring the notification bell so you can get notified about future uploads on my channel. This is Inferno burning out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.